Hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of What the Law Says, and today we are going to discuss about the bail order of Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, the Chief Minister of Delhi belonging to the AAP party, who was infamously arrested by the ED in the liquor scam, alleging that he has taken kickbacks of around 100 crores. The Supreme Court had earlier granted interim bail for him to campaign in the election, since he is one of the most important opposition party leaders, and he surrendered back. His extension petition was dismissed. Now this is the regular bail application, and this regular bail application was heard by a trial judge called Nyay Bindu. Probably the name is poetic in the sense that justice has been delivered to Mr. Arvind Kejriwal at last. Bail has been granted, but he is yet to enjoy. That is another story. We will come to that. So when we look at this judgment of Judge Nyay Bindu, it is very heartwarming. We are able to see a judge who is willing to stand up, a judge who is courageous, who is unfazed, even though many claim it is a very politically sensitive matter and the stakes are high. Though the evidence may not be high, the stakes are high. She did not flinch. She expressed her mind and gave a wonderful judgment where the liberty of an individual, which is sacrosanct and which flows from Article 21 of our Constitution, which says no person shall be deprived of his life and liberty except according to the procedure established by law. This is the sacrosanct article for any criminal lawyer, since it grants personal liberty, it puts personal liberty at a higher pedestal. It becomes a constitutional right redressable by the constitutional courts. So in such a situation, when we say, every time we have heard the judges say, the jurists say, the lawyers say that bail is the rule and jail is the exception. But in ED cases, in politically sensitive cases, it seems to be different. But Judge Nyay Bindu put everything aside and said, I will follow the law, I will follow the jurisprudence of bail, and granted bail to Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. The reasoning given by this judge is absolutely fascinating. She analyzes the evidence and says that Mr. Arvind Kejriwal has been acted upon by a biased investigation. He is inside the prison because of a biased investigation. This is what everybody knows. This is what everybody has been saying about this case. The most important aspect is this. See, when the ED speaks about materials, when the ED speaks about evidence, it speaks about the approver's evidence. The reason Mr. Arvind Kejriwal was arrested is that there are statements made by approvers who say that I paid this money there, that money there. Except that statement, there is no tangible evidence which will conclusively show, or at least prima facie show, that Mr. Arvind Kejriwal had received money. There are no bank statements. There are no flow of money. There is no money trail. This is what has been famously said about this case. Mr. Justice Sanjeev Khanna, the Supreme Court judge, while deciding the bail application of Mr. Manish Sisodia, another accused and a minister from AAP, said that with this kind of evidence, any lawyer will destroy your case in 2 minutes of cross-examination. But the bail was denied to Mr. Manish Sisodia. That is another story for another time. Now, having said that, take that statement and contrast that with what this judge, Madam Nyay Bindu, had said. She said there is no money trail. They say Mr. Arvind Kejriwal has received 100 crores. Except the statement, there is no money trail, and they say some 40 crores is there. There is no evidence for that. And everything based on an approver statement, and he is entitled for bail. That apart, the way she had ripped apart the additional Solicitor General's argument is very noteworthy, especially someone who's at the lowest level of the hierarchy of the courts. The way she had written those judgments is awesome. We'll explain, we'll see the argument by the additional Solicitor General and the response by Madam Nyay Bindu on how she gives reasoning for that grant of bail. This is a masterclass. I am reading the judgment where Judge Nyay Bindu had granted bail to Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. An important submission has been made by learned ASG during the arguments on behalf of ED, whereby making submissions in respect of the credibility of the approvers that within quotes, investigation is an art and sometimes one accused is given lollipop of bail and pardon and induced with some assurance to make them tell the story behind the offence. This is the argument by the Additional Solicitor General, the explanation by the judge, a masterclass. The court has to take a pause to consider this argument, which is not an portable submission that investigation is an art, because if it is so, then any person can be implicated and kept behind the bars by artistically procuring the material against him after artistically withdrawing exculpatory material from the record. This very scenario constrains the court to draw an inference against the investigation agency that it is not acting without bias. How beautifully the arguments have been countenanced. Reasoning has been given. Investigation, give us hard evidence. We don't want how you get it, whether it is art. Art, we all know what is the definition of art. Investigation may be an art, but evidence should be scientific and should be hard evidence. In this case, except the approver's statements, there is no hard evidence. Unexpectedly, Judge Nyay Bindu has been trolled by the right wing. That how can she pass a judgment when there are 10,000 pages of document? It is exactly that the bail jurisprudence says you don't have to go extensively into the allegations made and give one finding or the other. The important aspect is this: they also press PMLA into play. They say PMLA only if the judge comes to the conclusion that there is no offence, that the accused is not guilty of the offence, bail should be granted. When you have only approver's evidence, when there is no money trail for the allegations you made, what more you require? The test under PMLA is also satisfied because of these observations. We salute Madam Nyay Bindu. We want the judicial officer to stand up, to stay upright and be not fearful of the consequences of their orders. The society will protect them. And coming to the other part, strangely, I forgot to mention another important feature of this judgment. In this judgment, Madam Nyay Bindu had quoted what the Chief Justice of India, Mr. Chandrachud, had said. He has said that the trial courts should not loathe to grant bail. Supreme Courts and the High Courts should not be burdened with deciding bail application. It should be decided by the trial courts. They should not fear, and exactly that is what Madam Nyay Bindu had done. She was not fearful. She granted bail on solid reasoning and on the belief that what she did is right. This is the kind of judges we want to uphold the rule of law and democracy. These are the judges whom we want to ensure that the democracy strives. Democracy thrives. The Delhi High Court, the matter goes to the Delhi High Court, and the Delhi High Court, without even looking at the judgment, without even looking at the reasons for why the bail was granted, stayed the operation of the judgment and stayed the release of Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, and they said they will pass orders within 2 or 3 days. Is this not saddening? Is this not against the spirit of what the CJI has said? He said, let the trial courts do their jobs. Is this how a superior court should interfere in a recent judgment of the trial court without looking into the judge? The moment they mention, stay is granted, because prejudice will be caused. What prejudice will be caused? See, any interim order, we all know, on the balance of convenience and of prejudice. What prejudice will be caused if Mr. Arvind Kejriwal is let out on bail? Is he going to tamper with the evidence? Is he going to fly away, or he will hamper the investigation? His custodial interrogation is not necessary, or it is over. So why do we require his continued presence inside the jail, except for his political opponents? We hope ultimately that justice will be done in this case and Mr. Arvind Kejriwal will be released on bail. That is one of the acid tests. Thank you.